Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrea, and today we're gonna talk about this materialistic world that we live in. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about life satisfaction and what contributes to it. And we're tricked into thinking that buying expensive items is going to make us happy. And I grew up thinking that money was going to bring me a lot of happiness because having money means I can buy a lot of stuff, and having a lot of stuff means I'm going to be super happy, which is a complete lie. But I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that buying things isn't going to bring you a little bit of happiness. But I think in the long run, it doesn't contribute to our overall life satisfaction. And I think a lot of us are aware that materialistic items don't equal happiness, but I don't think we're aware of it enough, especially people who come from low-income households and immigrant households, at least from my experience. A lot of us who don't grow up with a lot of things always aspire to one day be able to buy all the things that we want. And we always point to the fact that, oh, because I didn't have all these things, this is why I was so unhappy growing up. I've also noticed that a lot of us buy a bunch of things to fill voids in our lives. And I really wanted to bring awareness to this because I feel like our parents don't really teach us good spending habits. And you get to an age where now you have a stable income and you're wondering, whoa, what should I do with all this money? But if you weren't taught how to spend your money correctly, you're just kind of spending your money mindlessly. And a lot of us kind of copy our parents and their shopping styles, the way they live their lives. And not that there's anything bad with that, but a lot of times our spending habits aren't the best, and then it ends up being consequential for us. So there's a lot of reasons why people shop and just gather a bunch of things, but I think one of the big ones is because we don't know what else to do with our free time. It's a Friday night, you just got paid, you're tired from work, you have no plans, so going on a shopping spree doesn't sound like a bad idea. But what's actually happening there is you really don't know what else to do with your free time. Maybe you do have a hobby that you're interested in. Maybe you want to go work out, go outside, play with your dog, but it just seems easier and more exciting to go shopping. This depends on the person, but I think for me, I grew up in a really small town in the Central Valley. And if you're familiar with the Central Valley, you know that there's not much to do other than eating and shopping. And I grew up in a household where I wasn't really encouraged to go exercise. I wasn't part of a sport. So in my free time, my parents didn't really encourage me to do anything. The only thing they invited me to was, let's go shopping or let's go eat. So then I kind of copied those patterns. And I honestly think a lot of us just shop and just buy a bunch of things because we don't know what else to do with our free time. Another reason we overshop, I think, is also because we don't want to face our problems. And sometimes you might be having a rough time at work, or maybe you're having some family problems, relationship problems, and we don't want to face these issues head on, and it just feels, and we use shopping as a distraction. We keep doing this, and as a consequence, we keep accumulating a bunch of things that we don't need. I also think people buy a lot of things because in one way or another, they're trying to prove themselves to other people. Because when you're able to afford expensive things, or when you're able to buy a bunch of different things, you're kind of signaling to others that you have the money to buy a bunch of stuff, right? I don't think we're born with this instinct to want to buy a bunch of things, but a lot of the things we do is for other people. I think about my household, and my mom likes her home to be filled with a lot of things. She doesn't like blank walls. She tries to fill in every inch of the wall. She loves having all kinds of house decor and all that stuff. And a lot of it is because she just genuinely likes it. But I remember telling my mom, hey, baby, you should have less things. It feels a little stuffy in here. You should try to do something new. And I remember she made a comment then it's gonna look like we're poor and we don't have money to decorate the house. And it kind of came to my head, are you decorating the house for yourself or for when people come visit? There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a nicely decorated home for visitors, but I think a lot of the reasons a lot of us have things is so then it looks like you have money to buy things, if that makes sense. don't think it's always because we want these things, but it's like to show off to other people. And that's just something to think about. Like, I feel like if you're rich, it doesn't really matter how many things you buy because you have money, so what does it matter? But when you're struggling financially, I don't think it's the smartest idea to want to just be buying a bunch of things. I think about a lot of people from low economic backgrounds who are around me and just patterns I've seen in my own family. You know, you're working super hard, literally like Monday through Sunday, and you're spending all your money on a bunch of things that aren't necessarily bringing you happiness. Other than food, you know, paying for your bills, I see a lot of these families and individuals buying things that they really don't need, and it's holding them back from living their best life because a lot of these people have bigger goals, which is maybe moving into a bigger home, buying a car, and they're not able to do these things because they're spending all their money on a lot of things that they don't need. But in that same manner, they're doing it because, you know, maybe they didn't grow up having these items, and now that they could afford them, they're buying them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they're not realizing that it's not actually making them any happier having all these things. Materialistic consumption is never going to be enough. No matter how many things you buy, you're never going to be satisfied. That's just how humans are. If you really value your time and your hard work, try to be more intentional with your purchases. I think a way to be able to tell if you're buying something to impress others and not yourself is by the thoughts that come to your head when you're trying to purchase an item. For instance, if you're getting a jacket and it's like a designer brand and all you're thinking about is, ooh, what are people gonna say when they see my jacket? They're gonna think it's so cool. You're constantly thinking about then you're not really buying it for yourself. And it's funny because while you're here buying things to impress people, the people that you're trying to impress are trying to impress other people. So then you end up losing there. So like, always buy things for yourself. Also remember that you're never going to be able to keep up with all the things that you want to buy because there's always going to be something better out there. Let's say you're going to buy a new iPhone. Well, there's going to be another iPhone coming out in a couple months after that. Like, you're never able to keep up. And if you fall into the trap that you need all these things, you're just going to end up broke. And I think a huge reason of why we just buy so many things is because it's at the touch of our fingertips. It's so easy to buy things. Like, you don't even have to go outside your house anymore. On Amazon, I'm sure we're all guilty of it. Just add a bunch of things to your cart and have it delivered to your home in 2 days. Like, it's easier now more than ever to just get a hold of so many things. And it's starting to feel like the whole point of our existence is just to produce more in order to keep consuming. And I feel like this is seen across generations. Like, I see my parents, they didn't really grow up with much, and, you know, they want me to get a good job so then I'm able to have more money, so then I'm able to buy more things. So there's this cycle that people need to keep getting more productive over time so they're able to buy more things. In other words, consume more. You need to ask yourself 3 things when it comes to making a purchase. Do I really need this? 2, do I really love this? Because liking something isn't enough to buy something. 3, will it make me happy? If you're able to answer yes to all of these 3 questions, more than likely you're making a good purchase. I also think it's important to buy things when you're feeling good and you're not an emotional wreck, because I know when my emotions are all over the place, I might buy things that I don't need and then I end up not liking a couple minutes later. I think a bigger reason as to why we buy a bunch of things is because our society doesn't know anything about moderation. It's kind of all or nothing in this society. For instance, if you're gonna buy a tank top, like, you better have all the colors or you might as well not buy one. You gotta have the black one, the white one, the gray one, the red one. And it's like, you might just need the black one. Just because you have all these different options doesn't mean you need to buy all of them. But I feel like you're kind of inclined to want to get all the colors because what's the point of having one when you can have all of them? People just feel like they need to have the whole cake instead of just a piece. Even when a lot of times you don't want the whole cake, but like, people feel like they need to get everything. It's all or nothing. Like, a lot of us also buy a bunch of things because they're just cheap, right? I know I'm super guilty of this. There's so many things on sale all the time, especially if you shop in person. there's always sales going on, and it just feels like the right thing to do. Oh my god, something is on sale, it's in clearance, it's only a couple bucks, let me buy it. And though some things can be a good deal, if you're excessively shopping on sales every week, like, you're gonna end up spending a bunch of money anyways. So then there really isn't any savings going on. We put so much value on materialistic things, even though they actually don't bring us that much happiness. And even though a lot of us are able to recognize, hey, materialistic things will never fully complete you, we still believe it, though our actions show otherwise. We're still out there buying a bunch of things that we don't need. And something not talked about enough either is how people judge others on not buying things. Like, I know my mom judges me on that a lot. She's like, why don't you buy this or get this new thing? And it's like, I don't want to. And sometimes we just feel pressure to buy things because of the opinions of other people. So if you want to be more mindful with your spending and buying, do it, okay? Don't let the opinions of others get to you. Most importantly, just remember to do things for yourself, and please practice being more mindful with your purchases. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.